Let me just go back to what you said about non-GAAP real quick, and then we'll go back to that. Don't you feel like the media is complicit in this, parading these non-GAAP metrics out? Every day I turn on CNBC, or I have it on in the background, or even, Fox News, Bloomberg, etc. And to the layperson that's coming home from work at 5 o'clock and is turning on Fast Money, and they see Clorox posts $1.23 for the quarter, X items, versus estimates of $1.22 X items, and maybe the GAAP number is 60 cents and not $1.23. I mean, isn't that disingenuous from the mainstream media? Aren't they complicit in providing these non-GAAP numbers to people that, God bless them, but maybe don't have the financial sophistication to understand exactly what the difference between GAAP and non-GAAP is, right?
Well, you're holding the media to a higher standard than the average investor. I don't know if we should do that. I mean, yes, the media is not particularly critical, but they're not all cheerleaders. I mean, Bubble Vision is 100% cheerleader, 100% all the time, and some financial rags are that way as well. But some of them they're just caught up in the same thing. I mean, they see it going up, they assume it must be good, and they don't know necessarily enough to question these things. But again, it can only happen in a surrealistic environment where rates. I mean, in Europe we still have negative rates. I don't know how many. I can't remember. It's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 trillion of and I think it's only 3 of negative yielding bonds. I mean, think about that for a second. Negative yielding bonds. In other words, Chris, I want to borrow $10 million, but you're only going to have to pay me 10 basis points a year to take that money off your hands. I mean, it makes your head hurt when you think about it. Well, but remember, this is the reference point. If you're looking at these as businesses, well, what can I get from a government bond or a corporate bond? And so that's why junk spreads are tight, right? Junk spreads would never be this tight. There wouldn't be so many low-quality companies masquerading as, triple B or things like that. But for the environment we're in, so everything has been warped. And so the journalists are, I don't know, why should they know more than the portfolio managers? The portfolio managers don't have to believe this, whatever story they read. But it's the madness of crowds. It's a variation of Gresham's law, right? The bad money drives out the good. So what happens is, if you're a portfolio manager, if you're kind of a knucklehead like Ross Gerber, and you chase these concept stocks, you got the right collection of garbage at a moment in time. That's what's working. You look like a genius when you really don't even know how to spell the word risk. And so then guys who try to be cautious and say, wait, this is going to end badly, and they're trying to be prudent and they don't want to take too much risk. They're not making as much money, so they get fired, and then they take the money and they go give it to Gerber. So over a long enough period, you get the people that try to be sane and manage risk get flushed out of the system and lose all the assets, and it gravitates to the people who think there are no risks, and they take lots of them. So indexing ETFs, selling vol, selling naked puts, all this kind of crap. That's all risky behavior that has been rewarded. So zillions of people are doing it. So collectively, you have all this massive amount of risk being taken, and the average journalist is not going to be knowledgeable enough. They're probably youngish. They don't know. Why would they know anything about financial history? If they'd studied financial history, they probably would have gone into something rather than journalism. You know what I mean? So I think there's only certain entities that are guilty of really cheerleading bad ideas, and Bubble Vision is the absolute leader of the pack when it comes to that. Nobody's even close to them in terms of second place, in my opinion.